This week on Sign Dawgs, we head out to Nocona Beer and Nocona Boots to install their revamped and brand new sign. Let's find out if the Sign Dawgs have created a masterpiece or had a swing and a miss. Every day we look at signs. Some are beautiful, others not so much. For a business, any business, a good sign is crucial. So where does a good sign come from? Who creates these tantalizing works of art? In the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, it's done right here by the people at Signs Manufacturing, the people we call the Sign Dawgs.
Welcome to Nocona Brewery Neon and the old Nocona Boot Factory building. As you can see, the old neon light there hasn't worked in 30 years, and we're trying to reconstruct that.
There's your problem. There's no neon.
Nocona Beer, it's lettered there. We want a neon light right there. Big, bright, and red Nocona Beer. It will match the lettering of the Boot Factory sign.
So the challenge as I understand it, is to take an 80-year-old iconic landmark for Nocona Beer with an 80-year-old sign that we need to bring current both in look and electrically, and then add the Nocona Beer to aesthetically work with everything else.
Picked the wrong way to quit smoking, man.
So Nocona Boot Factory started in 1937. The building is original. It's an Art Deco building, which is really unique for any place, but especially when you're in Nocona, Texas, which is a town of about 3,000 people. It's about an hour and a half outside of Dallas, and the gentleman, Craig, bought the building in 2016. Ken, who is a retired vascular surgeon, has a ranch in Nocona. He works a deal with Craig to where they put a brewery in this building. The thing that you're doing right is you want to start with your first store, and that's your prototype. You get the prototype right, everything else is cookie cutter from there. And the only way you're going to be able to duplicate 100 stores is if you cookie cut everything. I think this looks good, and if it's a brand, you need to keep it.
Okay.
He was thinking of putting it underneath here, Boots, Beer, and Baseball Gloves, but I think it'll detract from this sign, and all of the neon tubes are busted on this. And the question is, when I talked with Jeff, how can he get the dimensions of these destroyed things? He likes these. He's saying
what we do is we go out there with basically a big roll of paper, we lay it on there and take a rubbing of the face of the sign. Yeah, see, and then once we come back, we basically make a paper pattern just like this, and then bend the neon to match it.
All right, so we need to pull it down. We need to replace the PK housings, which there's 36 of them.
All the standoffs.
We need to replace the standoffs. We need to rewire it. The entire thing has to be wired inside sleeving. We need to reconfigure it for it to be remote transformers. We'll put those behind the wall because that is smart. It gets them out of the water, of the weather.
I'm kind of looking forward to this because the reason that I do this kind of work is that we rarely, if ever, do the same thing twice in a row. And this presents an interesting challenge, and I'm looking forward to it.
I picked the wrong week to quit drinking, too.
The Sign Dawgs are out in Nocona, Texas, bringing down the sign that's been hanging on the side of the Nocona Boot Factory since this Art Deco building went up. Taking care to remove the sign in sections for easier transport, the Sign Dawgs use their crane arm to hold each piece steady and lower it down to the truck. James has discovered a small nest inside the sign. Although not uncommon for small creatures to call signs their home, sometimes the mothers aren't too happy with their nests being moved.
Hey, that's a nest.
I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
I think we got some over in Doug's drawers.
Actually, we probably do. We got some good crap in there.
They have this old, very old, built about 80 years ago, something like that, I think, sign on the factory wall. And that sign was originally lit with neon, but the neon is long gone. And they want us to rehab and refurbish that sign, get it back to as much of a like-new condition as we can possibly do. One of the big problems that happens a lot of times in the sign industry is you're building a sign and you've got the alphabet stretched out, only the problem is that there's 16 S's. You may think that all the S's are exactly alike, and sometimes they are, but a lot of times they're not. So these signs, somehow or another, we gotta keep track of which letter goes where. Otherwise, when we get done, it just looks a little bit funky.
The Sign Dawgs are tackling an 80-year-old sign, an antique piece of art that requires a special touch and some updating to bring it into the modern era. This gorgeous sign is made from steel, covered in ceramic, and should last another 80 years with ease. To bring it up to code and ensure that it will last, the working parts are replaced with modern pieces. Standoffs are added, which are insulated glass hardware that the neon is mounted onto. This ensures stability and keeps the neon from contacting with the metal sign to prevent any electrical shorts from occurring. Once that's complete, it's time to test the sign out and see if she'll light up after all these years.
Sign looks pretty good. Yeah, nice. Now let's go build the other one.
Can somebody turn on the lights?
With the old sign done, it's time for the Sign Dawgs to try their best at matching the 80-year-old masterpiece. Using modern techniques, they assemble the letters onto the raceway and place all the neon just as they did on the old sign. Once finished, they fire it up and leave the sign lit for 24 hours to allow the neon to do its thing.
Well, evidently I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue, too. Oh, that's nasty.
Now that the Nocona signs are all the way back home in Nocona, Texas, the Sign Dawgs finish assembling it and get it ready to install.
I'm just removing the transformers out of the boxes. This is a weatherproof box. Not weatherproof, but weather-rated transformer box for neon transformers. So this unit right here, this is a 12,000 volt neon transformer. So it's called a smart transformer. It's got a little blinking light here when it has different things going wrong with it. It'll tell you kind of they call it a smart transformer nowadays. Tell you what the problem is or help lead you to the problem. Doesn't always tell you exactly what's wrong. So we've got to mount this into this unit since the access in the building is not there. There's no way to get into that ceiling. And that's the thing with an old building like this. So we have room. He's probably going to put them right here and at that end down there. This is a PK housing installation of neon. Instead of hooking wire, the electrodes, these are the electrodes right here. The electrodes have this little brass cap that fits down into a spring. This thing's spring loaded right here. You see this? And that puts pressure on it, and that's what makes the connection for the electricity to flow through. So instead of wiring on, it just sits in a hole and the pressure of it makes the connection. And it's a little tester. It's a little tool you buy at the sign supply shop. It just puts juice enough to it to just to light it, and that tells you if the glass is broken or not, or if it's out of gas. You know, sometimes they'll get cracks in them and the gas will leak out. You like it?
You look good.
I like that. It's nice and level.
As they move it into position, Jose uses guide ropes to keep the sign from swaying back and forth to protect that fragile neon.
Right here, he's gonna try to level this thing.
One little bump against that 80-year-old brick and this brand new sign will be back in the shop for repairs.
I can see the top of the T needs to go up about this far to be even with the T on that side. Right? About right there.
After drilling out the old holes to fit the new anchors, the sign is secured into place and the wire is run to power this gorgeous antique sign. With modern technology bringing the sign into the 21st century, it truly fits the look and feel of Nocona Boots and the Nocona Brewery, where old and new are brought together to create something truly unique.
Thanks for watching Sign Dawgs. Don't forget to like and subscribe.